What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Bass, and y'all tuned in to another episode of Ends Podcast. On this episode of Ends Podcast, man, we going straight to the music, but we going to be talking about Motown, Motor City, Detroit, the Dirty Glove, baby. Man, I ain't gonna lie to you. Right now, the music scene in Detroit is really going crazy. And being from Detroit, man, being tapped in is just, and man, I ain't gonna lie, it's a real blessing to see. But if you really take a step back and really look through like a bigger scope or a bigger lens, let's go back into like the history of Detroit when it comes down to the music scene and when it comes down to black music, black culture, black music. Everybody already know the famous, Motown, which produced some of the best and some of the most legendary music artists that your grandparents came up with, that your mama respect and know what your favorite artist probably sample. Man, all type of artists, man. And if you don't know who Smokey Robinson is, if you don't know who Ben Gordy is, man, go ahead, go look that up, man. It's funny because the culture of Detroit is really, that blue collar, hard working, that get it out the mud, hustle by any means mentality. If you really understand Ben Gordy's story and the Motown story, started out in a duplex, you feel me, like home. And you can go see like the whole house is a museum right now on the boulevard in Detroit. You can go check it out. But it started off in a home. You feel me? Like what you see nowadays, how artists were being so critical and so you feel me? Criticizing and critiquing the whole recording in the house, the whole recording in the closet type deal. But you gotta understand that's how Motown was built, and Motown help establish some of the most legendary artists, some of the most impactful artists in the black culture, and let alone music in general. So history was made starting out in a house. You feel me? So always keep that in mind. But fast forward, you feel me? Then it was an era where you weren't really hearing no Detroit music. Detroit music wasn't really getting out there like that. The music switched. It went from soul, then a new form of music started to arrive, hip hop, and a lot of Detroit artists wasn't really like mainstream marketable, type of artists because at that time street music, in the 90s and stuff like that, street music started having an impact. But you start to see lights like Eminem, you feel me, and stuff like that start to really start to break out and set themselves apart. But you got to look at Eminem. He was a white guy rapping out of Detroit. You feel me? Had bars, so of course he was able to stand out, and he put himself on, but he also put members of his team on that was from the east side of Detroit, over there in the 7 Mile area. But then as you start to really keep fast forwarding, you start to see other artists, Big Sean, Dough Boy Cashout, they started to make a name for themselves. They starting to come up, but then out of nowhere, it was like the light really started to open up for Detroit, and the new wave of the new wave of hip hop. Detroit really opened up, and people got a full perspective of what was really going on in that culture, because Detroit is a predominantly black city. So you got to think like Detroit was that if you go check your history during the Great Migration, during that time where a lot of black families were leaving the South and heading up north, Detroit was one of them cities that they was going to. So we had close to a couple million people staying in the city, and most of them were black. You feel me? Most of them were black, and so you can see, like, as far as music, as far as culture, everything, that was the main impact and influence. That was the main driver in the city. Still is to this day. You feel me? You feel me? Like, really, come check us out. But we're gonna stay on the music tip. So when it started to talk about music, a lot of artists, they talk about what's really going on. What's really going on in the environment. So not only was we one of the largest black cities, but it's we went bankrupt. Everybody see that, and we was one of the largest cities to ever go bankrupt, filed for bankruptcy as a city. So it was a lot of truth within that music. But I guess after that, people was able to really see and really kind of like how you put it, that kind of, it's weird how things work, you feel me, that kind of justify a lot of things. They like, oh shit, like y'all really going through it over there, and what y'all really talking about, y'all really doing. You start to see a lot of music artists from Detroit. One of the, you know, like one of the bad things about it, but you know, it's like what helped them is also like kind of like a curse, you feel me. And the same thing in Chicago, you know, you make a lot of money off your lifestyle, or talking about your lifestyle bring you to notoriety, but you really live in that lifestyle. And a lot of artists nowadays, they're able to transition, and that's what really also helped bringing that light to the city. A lot of those artists are really transitioning to being actual artists, you feel me, and that's really helping out with spreading out their voice, you feel me, tours, all type of shit, you feel me. One main artist in particular, you feel me, shout out to Peezy, shout out to Wear Vezzo, Payroll Giovanni, man, shout out to Sada Baby, man, T Grizzley. It's a lot of dudes, Babyface Ray, it's a lot of dudes from the D that's really putting on. Cash Doll, she doing her thing. It's a lot of female artists too. Let's not forget the female artists, you feel me. Baby D, you feel me, shout out, you know, shout out to the Eastside, you feel me, shout out to Gratiot Ave. Man, it's a lot of shit that's really brewing up in the city, man. And I only dropped a couple names. It's a lot of names that's brewing up around the city. So we ain't really on here to like name drop or nothing like that. We want to shed light just on what's really going on. So when you start to really take a step back, you know, Jeezy always come to the city. Jeezy came to the city. He signed Dough Boy Cashout, and that was at the time when it was real big in the city. If you're from the city of Detroit, you understand the whole. Not only is it like your block, your hood, all that type of shit. On top of that, it was East versus West. You feel me? So you had Team Eastside, then you had Dough Boy Cashout, which they from the West Side, but they, you know, like they all, you feel me? They got our dog hoes, not one but all hoes, y'all hoes. I don't think I love, but we gonna get into all that. You can go check them out too. You feel me? They on Ends Music. We got all this music on Ends Music, but they was, you know, like. You know, like they was doing their thing, but Team Eastside, you feel me, they was doing their thing too. But you know, Jeezy came through, he signed them. Team Eastside was bubbling, doing their thing. Both groups, you know, they continue to do their thing, but you know, they went through certain, you know, just certain shit that goes on in the hood, because they really from Detroit, you know, certain things that you gotta deal with. You feel me? Losing loved ones, you feel me, to the system, and you know, to the grave, you feel me, you know, just trying to maneuver through these obstacles of just being a black man in America, you know, like, so just understanding that, you feel me, that kind of brew. And then, you know, just I feel like with those two groups being persistent and them growing as well, they opened up a shed, like, you feel me, for other artists, you feel me. Peezy really, you feel me, taking off with Ghetto Boys, you feel me. Wear Vezzo, you know, you feel me, Iced Up Records, you feel me, it's really starting to grow. And then now a few of them are underneath that Motown umbrella. You feel me? Like now, Motown is really tapped in with the city too. You feel me? So a lot of them some of them are under that Motown umbrella, and that's really also helped, you know, funneling fuel that driving force within the city as far as sound. Man, you can even, man, Wear Vezzo had a shoe deal with Puma. Man, it sold out. You feel me? Shout out to Wear Vezzo, man, and Puma. Man, shout out to Puma, man, for really tapping in and really investing into the city, into the culture. But then you can start to see, like, just a lot of these artists is really turning up, and it's even way more artists. You feel me? It's 42 Doug. It's so many artists that, like, you can't really just make like one podcast episode just talking about all the artists, you feel me, because now it's at a point where, you feel me, like I could say probably like a few years back, probably like 7-8 years ago, that 2012 to 2000, I mean still now, you feel me, but 2012 when Chicago came back on the scene as far as music, that drill scene, it was like, man, it was so many artists in Detroit that, like, I mean that's in Detroit, in Chicago, that was, you feel me, that was popping, that was on, you feel me. As far as music, even though they was probably still in their city, you feel me, still going through what they was going through, their music was touching individuals from all over the country though. You feel me? That's the power of the internet. So I feel like now, you know, Chicago, they got their machine running, they got their machine going. And now, you know, it's Detroit up. You know, Atlanta's established. They doing their thing. You know, and I feel like like I feel like it's coming full circle. You feel me? Right now, Detroit is doing this thing. You feel me? You got Sada Baby, like everybody got their own solid fan base. You feel me? Babyface, like everybody, like everybody got their own solid like fan base camp that they got that's bigger than just the city. You feel me? For a long time, it was like, especially in the city of Detroit, we gotta like. We respect the real. We respect what's real, and a lot of things that was real is what you can see up close and personal. So, a lot of times getting that city love in the city. I mean, and you know, Detroit ain't a small city, so getting that city love, you feel me, is all that you kind of really shoot for. Like I ain't really trying to get signed or doing nothing, all you know, doing all that. I'm making enough money. You feel me? Just doing this. But now that like you feel me. Artists is taking it to a whole nother level. A lot of Detroit artists is traveling, you feel me, and their music is reaching, you feel me, further, further hands, especially with the internet and stuff like that, man. And you got all type of music. Like even if you start talking about that scamming music, you got, man, like it's artists in Detroit making, like, you feel me, they making their own lanes and making their own wave. Shout out to Cash Doll, especially from the female artists on the standpoint. Cash Doll has really, you feel me, like been really standing 10 toes on that, and really been pushing that. A lot of people know about Cash Doll, like from here to fucking China. Fuck is you talking about? Like, you feel me? But like they really, like, you feel me, like it's versatile now. For a lot of people at the time, like it was, Big Sean was carrying the torch, Eminem, stuff like that. And then you had a lot of other artists that was coming up, but they was the ones that stayed around like sort of the longest. You had Dough Boy Cashout, like, you feel me? I ain't, if I miss anybody, you feel me, don't knock me. You feel me? It's a lot of artists too, but during those times it was like, you feel me, but if you're from Detroit and you probably meet somebody from Detroit and they probably do that, you feel me? Like, if they do that, I mean, for y'all that can't see, that just listen to the audio, it's the Boss Up, you feel me? It's a Blade Icewear dance, but then that's a street rapper from Detroit, you feel me? That got the same respect and probably even more respect than any street artist, and like from that dance is generational. You feel me? That's a generational dance, and like it's shit like that, like that's how it is in Detroit, man. That's how the culture of Detroit is. But now that culture is also starting to spread. Right now, you're starting to see like Cartier frames and all that type of stuff, man. Man, that been a thing in Detroit for a long time. But that's a black culture, you feel me? That's why the black culture, like, no matter if you in Iowa, Nebraska, Oklahoma, I mean, I ain't knocking none of these states or nothing like that. I'm just saying, but you feel me? Like, you get tapped into what them Cartiers mean. You might see somebody pull up that's hip. They gonna pull up with some buffs. You feel me? They gonna pull up with some buffs. The woods. You feel me? But they gonna pull up with them buffaloes. Nah, but they might pull up, you feel me? But you might see a nigga from Detroit, he might pull up with some white buffs on, like, and blow your mind. And then that just put you up on game. But then it's like, but it's just certain things that that just as black culture, and that's one of the things that too I like about just especially being from Detroit. And also when it come down to Detroit music, when people listen to Detroit music, they like, damn, it's a mixture of up north, but it got a Cali sound, especially when you listen to the beats to it. But people don't know that, like, you feel me, when it come down to Detroit and Cali, Oakland, all that type of stuff, we tapped in with each other, and a lot of our music have similar sounds, and our cultures is kind of similar, you feel me, in a sense. But then it just get more and more, like, as it started to hit that more that global scale, you can start to see the difference, and then people start to appreciate the sound that comes out of Detroit, and also the culture that comes from it, where you see with the artists and things like that. You're not just necessarily just getting a rapper, you're getting a personality that comes with the rapper. The person gonna be themselves type of shit. So that is one of the, like, also too, that I like too, that's like, all right, it's showing like, all right, the versatile and personality. Everybody ain't just, you feel me, wearing a hoodie, you feel me, not like that, look like they about to just be on some gremlin type shit, but like, you feel me, everybody's got their different personalities. If you look at the way that like, even from a, like, like from a T Grizzley or a Sada Baby, or or a 42 Doug, a lot of people say 42 Doug remind them of, like, they say the whole comparison of 42 Doug being like the Easy E of Detroit. They just doing the whole comparison and stuff like that, what he represented, how he stand on things. Just his sound too. They just resemble each other, just the way they present themselves. But like in all, it just, you know, like as I always say, I don't want to talk y'all all to death, but I also want to hear your opinion. Are you hip to the music that's brewing, that's coming out of Detroit? And if you are, who are some of your favorite artists? You know, and let's get this conversation going. Your involvement, you feel me? It ain't gonna cost you a thing. Like we say, man, we the voice of the culture, so we take pride in that. For you to be involved, or even for you to show some love, you can always do it free. You know, like, share, subscribe, or you can also hit that voice message button and leave us a voice message, or just drop a video and tag us in it. You feel me, on one of these topics, man? You feel me? We'll take it, share it. You feel me? Or we might add it to the segment and invite you in. Let's have a conversation. But it's your boy Bash. Y'all tuned in with Ian's podcast. Don't forget, like I said, like, share, subscribe. Y'all can tap in with us too. Go cop some merch if you really want to be down with the team. You want to support Line of Proud, man. Go cop some merch. You feel me? We always want to help you. You feel me? So let us know about something. We can send some free merch y'all way. But it's your boy Bash. We tuning out. Peace.